The rain hammered the taxi window like it had a personal grudge, blurring the neon glow of Manhattan into a watercolor smear. James gripped the door handle, his knuckles white, as the driver cursed under his breath about the traffic snarl on West 57th. "You sure this is it, kid? Looks like a war zone up there." James nodded, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. His phone buzzed again. Another text from his landlord. Eviction notice final. Out by midnight. At 24, with a barista gig that barely covered ramen and rent, crashing at his old college buddy David's place was his Hail Mary. He'd met David freshman year at NYU, back when dorm life meant all-nighters fueled by cheap beer and bad decisions. David, the golden boy from suburban Jersey, lacrosse captain, poli-sci major, the kind of guy who could charm a room full of skeptics with a grin and a half-baked joke. James, the artsy queer kid from rural Ohio, sketching feverishly in the corner while nursing a crush he buried under layers of sarcasm. They'd bonded over a shared hatred of their lit professor and late-night debates on everything from Foucault to fantasy football. David had no idea James was gay back then. Hell, James had barely admitted it to himself. But 8 years later, with James's world crumbling and David's life a glossy Instagram feed, junior associate at a law firm, loft in Hell's Kitchen, girlfriend named Brooke who looked like she stepped out of a J. Crew catalog, James figured it was time to cash in on that old friendship. The buzzer to David's building echoed like a gunshot in the downpour. "Yo, it's open. Elevator's busted. Take the stairs. 4th floor." David's voice crackled through the intercom. All easy warmth. James hauled his duffel up the narrow stairwell, water pooling behind him, heart pounding not just from the climb. What if David said no? What if Brooke answered the door in lingerie? By the time he reached the landing, sweat mixed with rain on his skin, he was rehearsing his pitch. Just a week, man. Subletter flaked. "I swear I'll crash on the couch." The door swung wide before he could knock. There stood David, taller than memory served, in faded jeans and a Mets tee that clung just right to his broad shoulders. His blonde hair was tousled, like he'd run a hand through it one too many times, and those blue eyes, God, those eyes lit up with genuine surprise. "James? Holy shit, dude. Get in here before you drown the neighbors." He pulled James into a bear hug that smelled of cedar cologne and fresh laundry, the kind of embrace that lingered a beat too long. Or maybe James was imagining it. Brooke wasn't there. David explained over lukewarm pizza slices that she was in Boston for a work thing, some merger deal. "Lucky me, man's weak," he joked, clinking beer bottles. They fell into rhythm like no time had passed. Sprawled on the leather sectional in David's loft, a cavernous space with exposed brick and skyline views that screamed, "I made it." David poured stories, the grind of big law, the weekend in the Hamptons that ended with him wiping out on a jet ski. James laughed, but his mind raced how to broach the ask without sounding pathetic. As the second beer emptied, David leaned back, studying him. "You look like hell, man. What's eating you? That ex of yours again? What was his name?" "Tyler." James's laugh came out brittle. Tyler. The architect who'd ghosted him after 6 months of whispered promises and stolen weekends. Nah. Ancient history. Actually. Got booted from my place. Sublet fell through. Any chance I could squat here for a bit? Couch is fine. I'll even cook. Remember my mac and cheese? David's brow furrowed, but not in annoyance, in concern. Shit, James. Of course. As long as you need. Brooke won't mind. She's cool like that. He clapped James's shoulder, the touch electric, sending a forbidden spark up James's arm. Straight friend, James reminded himself, shoving the warmth down deep. Just a couch. Just survival. That first night, sleep evaded James like a bad habit. The pullout was lumpy, the city hum a relentless underscore, but it was David's snoring from the bedroom, soft, rhythmic, that kept him tossing. He padded to the kitchen for water, the loft bathed in moonlight slicing through floor-to-ceiling windows. David's phone lit up on the counter, a text from Brooke. Miss you. Can't wait to make up for lost time. Zoxo. James's stomach twisted, a cocktail of envy and something sharper, unnameable. He wasn't jealous of her, not exactly. But the ease of it, the normalcy. Morning broke with coffee brewing and David in nothing but boxer briefs, flipping pancakes like it was no big deal. Rise and shine, sleepyhead. Fuel up, you're job hunting today, right? James mumbled agreement, eyes darting away from the V of muscle dipping low on David's hips. Eyes up, idiot. They bantered over breakfast, David teasing him about his starving artist phase, James firing back about David's soul-sucking suit life. Felt good, normal, safe. By afternoon, James was pounding pavement, resumes stuffed in his messenger bag, the autumn chill biting through his thrift store jacket. Rejections piled up, barista spots filled, gallery internships not a fit. Despair crept in like fog off the Hudson. Back at the loft, David was buried in case files, tie loosened, sleeves rolled. Rough day? He asked, not looking up. You have no idea. James collapsed beside him, head thunking against the cushions. David's hand landed on his knee, a casual pat, meant to comfort. But it lingered, thumb brushing denim, and James froze. The air thickened, charged. David's eyes flicked to his, holding, questioning. Then, as if sensing the shift, he pulled away, clearing his throat. Hey, let's blow off steam. Knicks game tonight, courtside seats from a client. You in. The arena pulsed with energy, a sea of orange and blue, the roar deafening as the tip-off soared. David hooped, arm slung over James's shoulders in the heat of a three-pointer, bodies pressed close in the frenzy. Sweat-slick skin, shared breaths. James's pulse thrummed not from the score, but from the proximity. During halftime, over overpriced nachos, David got quiet. You know, I always envied you back in college. That fire. The way you draw for hours, like the world was yours to reshape. Me, I'm just playing the game. James blinked, beer loosening his tongue. Bullshit. You're killing it. Girlfriend. Loft. Law degree. Pick a lane. Champ. David's laugh was hollow. Brooke's great. Really. But sometimes, I don't know. Feels like I'm performing. His gaze dropped to the court. Distant. James wanted to press, to peel back the layers, but the buzzer blared, snapping them back. That vulnerability cracked something open. Over the next days, the loft became a bubble, lazy mornings with ESPN droning, evenings dissecting bad movies with takeout. James sketched idly, David's profile in repose, the curve of his jaw, the shadow under his collarbone. He hid the pad, but once, David caught a glimpse. That's Me? Damn. You're good. His voice was low, appreciative, fingers brushing the paper. James's skin prickled. One night, after too many whiskeys, the dam broke. They were on the fire escape, city lights winking below, sharing a cigarette James bummed from a neighbor. Ever wonder what if? David murmured, exhaling smoke toward the stars. Like, if we'd met different. Or stayed in touch more. James's heart seized. All the time, the words slipped out. Bro. David's head turned, eyes searching his face in the dim glow. The space between them shrank, breaths mingling. Then David's phone shattered it, Brooke calling. Hey, babe, he answered, voice steady as he stepped inside, leaving James adrift in the chill. The next morning, tension hummed like a live wire. David was all business, prepping for a deposition. Listen, James, about last night. Whiskey talking, right? James nodded, throat tight, but inside, the hook lodged deeper. What if it's not? Days blurred. James landed a temp gig at a coffee roastery in Brooklyn. Enough to breathe. Evenings, they'd cook. David chopping onions with boyish clumsiness. James stirring sauces, their hands brushing over spices. Laughter filled the loft, but undercurrents swirled. Brooke's return loomed like a storm front. Her flight landed Friday. Thursday night, crested. David came home late, tie askew, reeking of bourbon from a firm happy hour. James was midway through a rom-com, half watching, when David stumbled in, collapsing beside him. God, these partners. All sharks in silk ties. He leaned into James's side, heavy, warm. You're the only real one I know. James's resolve frayed. David, but the name dissolved as David turned, face inches away, lips parted. The kiss was inevitable, fierce, desperate, tasting of scotch and secrets. Hands roamed, shirts tugged free, the couch a tangle of limbs and gasps. It was messy, urgent, David's mouth hot on James's neck, fingers tracing scars James didn't know he had. Fuck, David whispered, pulling back, eyes wild. Shit. I didn't mean, but he did. They tumbled into it, bodies speaking what words couldn't. In the afterglow, tangled sheets and sweat-slick skin, David traced James's chest. I've thought about this since college. Buried it, but yeah, James's world tilted. Brooke, David winced. I love her. But this, it's different. Real. Dawn brought clarity's cruel edge. David slipped out for a run, leaving James to the echo of what-ifs. When he returned, flushed and distant, the fracture showed. We can't. Not like this. She's coming home. The words landed like a slap. Betrayal? No, worse. Self-betrayal. James dressed in silence. Duffel repacked by noon. I'll crash at a hostel. Thanks for everything. David's hand caught his arm. Stay. Please. We'll figure it. But the door clicked shut, and James was gone, rain washing the streets clean. Or so he thought. The hostel on the Bowery smelled like stale regret and microwave popcorn, a far cry from David's sunlit loft. James claimed a top bunk in a 6-bed dorm, the thin mattress sagging under his weight, springs groaning like accusations. Sleep was a joke, snoring backpackers, Fluorescent buzz from the hall. His own mind replaying the night in fevered loops. David's hesitant touch turning bold. The way his breath hitched on James's name. Real, he'd said. But morning light exposed the lie. Straight guy panic. Classic. James scrolled job boards on his cracked phone, ignoring the voicemail icon blinking with David's missed calls. Let him stew. By midday, hunger clawed, so he wandered into the village, steam rising from manhole covers like ghosts. Washington Square Park buzzed with buskers and dog walkers, the arch looming stoic against a slate sky. He bought a falafel wrap from a cart, eating on a bench, sketching strangers to steady his hands. A jogger passed, blonde, broad-shouldered, and James's chest ached. Get over it. He's not yours. The temp agency called. Extended shift at the roastery, roasting beans in a warehouse that reeked of charred earth. It was mindless labor, gloves thick against the heat, but it paid. Evenings blurred into numbness, cheap beers at dive bars, flirting with barbacks who saw through his charm like tissue paper. One night, a guy named Rico cornered him in the bathroom, all tattoos and tequila breath. You're tense, pretty boy. Let me help. James almost said yes, desperate for distraction, but pulled back. Not tonight, Rico shrugged, unzipping. Your loss. Back in the dorm. Reality intruded. Eviction sorted. His old landlord caved to a sob-story email, but rent loomed, a guillotine blade. And David. The text started innocuous. You okay? Talk to me. Then pleading, I fucked up. Come back. James deleted them unread, but each ping carved deeper. Friendship eviscerated. Trust in tatters. Was it betrayal? David's confusion made it worse, half in, half out, dragging James through the shards. Friday night, the city throbbed with weekend fever. James hit a queer club in Chelsea, bass thumping like a migraine, bodies grinding under strobes. He danced alone, sweat slick, chasing oblivion in strangers' glances. A hand on his waist, tall, dark-haired, smelling of patchouli. Buy you a drink? The guy shouted over the din. Ethan, graphic designer, easy smile. They talked design over gin and tonics. Ethan's laugh a bomb. Back at Ethan's walk-up in the East Village, it was uncomplicated. Clothes shed, bodies aligned, no promises whispered. Morning brought awkward coffee. Ethan's number scrawled on a napkin. James pocketed it, fleeing into the haze. But the high faded fast. Monday at the roastery, his boss, a burly ex-Marine named Gus, clapped his back. Heard you got housing drama. Crash at mine if you need, couch is yours. No strings. Gruff kindness. The kind America prided itself on. Rags to riches grit. James mumbled thanks, but pride stung. He texted a cousin in Queens. Room for rent? Affirmative. Temporary fix. David's persistence escalated. A package arrived at the hostel, James's forgotten sketchpad. Wrapped in brown paper, a note tucked inside, miss your art. Miss you. D. The drawings stared back. David's face, unguarded, lines soft with longing James hadn't dared voice. He burned it in a park trash bin that night, flames licking the edges, smoke curling like unanswered questions. 2 weeks in, fracture lines spiderwebbed. Brooke posted on Instagram, home sweet home with my favorite person. Red heart the photo, her head on David's shoulder. His arm around her waist hit like gut punch. James blocked them both, but the damage festered. Late shifts bled into all-nighters. Caffeine his blood. Sketches turning dark. Fractured figures. Shadowed embraces. Then, collision. Mid-October. Leaves carpeting the sidewalks crimson. James ducked into a coffee shop on Bleecker for a shift break. The bell tinkled, and there David, alone at a corner table, nursing a black drip, eyes hollowed by something heavier than fatigue. He looked up, froze. Time stretched, the barista's chatter a distant hum. James! David's voice cracked, chair scraping as he stood. Close. The changes hit, stubble shadowing his jaw, shirt untucked like he'd slept in it. Please. 5 minutes. Against every instinct, James slid into the opposite seat, arms crossed. Make it quick. David's hands trembled around his mug. I ended it with Brooke. Last week. After. Couldn't pretend anymore. The words hung. Seismic. James's pulse roared. You what? Because of one night? David. That's not one night. David's eyes locked on. Fierce. Years. I buried it in college. Told myself it was phase. Experimentation. But you. Showing up. It ripped the lid off. I love her as a friend. Maybe. But I'm not in love. Not with her. And the lies? Killing me. James's walls trembled. So what now? You experiment with me until the guilt hits? I'm not your coming out crisis. Man. David flinched. That's not fuck. James. It's you. Always has been. He reached across, fingers brushing James's knuckles. The touch ignited. Familiar fire. Give me a chance. Dinner. No expectations. Just talk. The shop emptied around them, patrons drifting like leaves. James's resolve cracked. One dinner. But if you bail, I won't. David's smile broke through. Tentative sun. That night, they met at a hole-in-the-wall Italian on McDougal. Candles flickering in Chianti bottles. Sinatra crooning low. David arrived early. Flowers on the table, daisies. Simple, thoughtful. No suits. Just Henley and jeans. The David from college peeking through. Over pasta carbonara. Stories flowed. David's law school panic attacks. Hidden from all. James's Ohio coming out. Fists clenched in a cornfield confessional to his mirror. Laughter mingled with tears. The weight lifting inch by inch. After, they walked the village. Hand in hand under street lamps. Tentative. At James's hostel, his last night before Queens, David pulled him close in the shadowed alley. Stay with me. Not the couch. Us. The kiss was slower this time. Exploratory. Sealing a pact. James nodded against his lips. Okay. Us. The loft felt reborn. Sheets fresh. David's touch reverent. Mornings tangled. Coffee shared in bed. Evenings debating Supreme Court cases while James sketched their life emerging. David came out to his firm, whispers at first. Then support from an unexpected ally. The senior partner who'd lost a son to hate. Brooke, icy texts. Then radio silence. A bridge burned but necessary. But shadows lingered. David's family, staunch Catholics from Jersey, loomed like thunderheads. Thanksgiving approached. Invitations laced with subtext. Bring Brooke, his mom emailed. David deleted it, but the fracture echoed. James threw himself into art, a series on hidden desires, exhibited at a pop-up in Soho. Critics buzzed, raw, urgent, and sales trickled, hope blooming. David beamed at the opening, arm proud around James's waist, ignoring the stares. Yet, the turn tightened. Late November, David's phone rang during a quiet dinner. His sister, voice shrill. "Mom's sick. Heart thing. Come home. Now." The drive to Jersey was silence, wipers slashing rain. David's knuckles white on the wheel, James's hand on his thigh a lifeline. The house, colonial, picket-fenced, swallowed them. David's mom, frail in her recliner, eyes sharpening on James. "Who's this, James?" "My partner." David's voice steady, but James felt the quake. The room iced. Dad's jaw set, sister's gaze darted. "Partner," Mom echoed, hand to chest. "David." "What?" "It's true," David cut in, chin lifted. "I love him. And I love you. But this is me." Storm broke, accusations flying, confusion, phase, ruining the family. James stood sentinel, heart pounding, as David defended, voice cracking. "I'm happy. For the first time." "Isn't that enough?" They fled at dawn, Mom's sobs trailing. Back in the city, David shattered, curled on the couch, tears soaking James's shirt. "Lost them. For us." James held him, whispering, "We'll build our own." But doubt seeded. Was love enough against the tide? Winter deepened. Holidays a minefield. They hosted a makeshift feast. Friends from NYU. Queers and allies. Laughter a defiant roar. David proposed toasts. To turns we never saw coming. Glasses clinked. But his eyes held shadows. Climax brewed subtle. New Year's Eve. Times Square throng. Ball dropping in confetti blizzard. David pulled James close amid the crush, whispering, "Marry me, not a ring, just raw intent." James laughed through tears. Yes, sealing it in the chaos. But betrayal's ghost stirred. February. David's firm merger, stress fracturing sleep. One night, James woke to empty bed. David on the balcony, phone to ear. "Brooke? Yeah, it's me." Hushed tones, laughter low. James's blood iced. Confrontation dawned brutal. "What the fuck?" "David." David paled. She reached out. "Needed advice, law stuff." "That's all." "Bullshit." James's voice broke. "I heard you." Laughing like old times. "It's not." David reached, but James recoiled. "Trust me." "Trust? After you hid for years." The fight escalated. Words weapons. James's insecurities flung. "Your experiment." David's defenses crumbling. "You're everything." Door slammed. James stormed into the night. Subway rattling him to Brooklyn. Crashing at Gus's. Days blurred. Radio silence. Art stalled. Heart a bruise. David's texts pleaded. "I love you. Only you." Then evidence. Emails forwarded. Brooks consult benign. Divorce papers. Irony biting. James's walls rebuilt, but cracks showed. Reunion raw. David at the roastery door. Rain-soaked. Eyes red. "I get it. The fear. But I'm all in." He dropped to knees. Not dramatics, just vulnerability. "Forgive me." James pulled him up. Kiss salt sour. Don't hide again. Spring thawed them. David's family softened. Letters. Then calls. Mom's voice tentative. We miss you both. Healing. Humanistic. No fairy tale but progress. Summer hummed. Rooftop barbecues. Sketches sold. David's promotion. Their turn? Unexpected. Yes, but theirs. June's humidity clung like a second skin. The city a steam bath of ambition and asphalt. James and David's loft transformed into a sanctuary of half-packed boxes and half-formed dreams. David's bar exam looming. James's first solo exhibit greenlit for fall. Mornings started with lazy kisses over bodega bagels. Afternoons split. David buried in flashcards. James at the canvas. Charcoal smudging his fingers black. You're my muse, James teased one evening, wiping a streak across David's cheek. David caught his wrist, pulling him down for a deeper claim. Prove it. Their rhythm was a dance now, steps learned through stumbles. Therapy helped, joint sessions with a no-nonsense shrink in Midtown, unpacking David's closet ghosts and James's abandonment scars. Love isn't linear, the doc said, glasses perched like a judge's gavel. It's messy. Own the mess. They did, date nights at jazz dives in Harlem, weekends hiking the Palisades, hands linked over picnic spreads. David's ring, a simple silver band etched with their initials, mirrored on James's finger, quiet vow. But undercurrents rippled. David's family outreach faltered. Dad's emails terse. Proud of your work, son. The rest. Pray on it. Mom sent clippings, articles on healing conversion, tucked in care packages of Jersey tomatoes. David burned them in the sink, flames hissing, but the ash lingered. James saw it in the way David's laugh faltered at family mentions. The extra whiskey nightcaps. Work strained too. James's exhibit prep consumed him. Canvases of urban isolation. Lovers in shadow. Critics calling it visceral queer Americana. Sales buzzed. But imposter syndrome gnawed, fraud. Riding David's stability. David, meanwhile, aced mocks but cracked under pressure, snapping once over a forgotten dry cleaning. I can't fail this. Not now. James held space, but resentment simmered. Your world's forgiving. Mine's a gauntlet. The turn escalated mid-July, heat wave baking the streets. David's bar prep intensifies. He ghosts dinners, buried in outlines till 2 a.m. James, alone with wine and Netflix, feels the void. One night, scrolling old photos, college shots, David's arm slung casual, jealousy flares. Was I always second? Ethan texts, saw your show promo. Drinks? For old times. Harmless. James deletes, but the itch scratches. At the roastery, Gus corners him. You look haunted, kid. That lawyer boy stepping out. James laughs it off, but seeds doubt. Climax ignites at a firm mixer. David drags James. Networking, black tie swanky at the plaza. Crystal clinks. Suits schmooze. James in borrowed tux. Fish out of water amid hetero norms. David shines. Schmoozing partners. But a colleague, slick Chad from mergers, claps his back too long. David, you dark horse. Who's the arm candy? Laughter ripples. James's smile plastic. Later, on the balcony overlooking Central Park, Chad corners David. Whispers, hand on elbow. James watches from shadows, gut twisting. Enough. He slips away. Cab to the loft. Tears hot. David arrives hours later. Tie loose. Breath beery. You left? Without a word. Saw you with Chad. Cozy. David's eyes widen. What? He's straight, married. Just shop talk. Bullshit. The touches. The looks. Like college all over. David paces. Fury rising. This again? After everything? You're projecting. James. Your Ethan texts I saw. You spied. James's voice shatters. Fuck you. Words avalanche. David's accusations. Always waiting for the other shoe. James's retorts. Your closet's still cracked. A vase shatters. Symbolic. David storms to the guest room. Irony biting. Door locked. Dawn brings wreckage. James packs a go bag. Heart lead. Note on the counter, space. Don't follow. He crashes at the gallery owner's spare room in Tribeca. Turpentine fumes his company. Days bleed. Exhibit install frantic. Canvases screaming what words can't. David texts. I'm sorry. Therapy solo now. Come home. James ignores. Dives into work. Opening night. Gallery packed. Flashes popping. Murmurs of genius. But hollow David's empty seat a void. Post-reception. Ethan appears. Champagne flute in hand. Stunning. You deserve this. The brush of his hand lingers. James leans in. Kiss impulsive. Escape. Guilt crashes immediate. He pushes away. Can't. Sorry. Back in Tribeca. Phone explodes. David's call. Saw the pics. With him. We're done. No, yes, I don't know. Sobs choke. I miss you. But the fear. Same. David's voice breaks. Betrayed myself first. Promised no hiding. Then Chad rumors, firm gossip. Nothing. But I shut you out. Reconciliation brews slow. Coffee meet at their park bench. Hands tentative across checkers. We rebuild, David says. Ring glinting. No secrets. Fall colors them golden. Bar exam passes. David whoops in the loft. James tackling him to the rug. Celebrations carnal and cathartic. Family men's fractal. Mom visits. Tentative brunch at Ellen's Stardust. Her hand squeezing James's. He looks happy. That's enough. Dad's card arrives. Proud. Human steps. No miracles. Thanksgiving. Their table. Mismatched chairs. Friends as family. David carves turkey. James toasts. To turns that bend us toward light. Laughter flows. Gravy stains. Love's quiet pulse. But depth demands shadows. Winter solstice. David's promotion party. Corner office. Champagne toasts. James beams. But whispers follow. David's boy toy. He slips out. Balcony cold. Tears freezing. David finds him. Arms enveloping. Their noise. Your signal. Spring renewal joint therapy evolves. Intersectional resilience. Doc calls it. James's book deal. Sketches to memoir blooms. David's pro bono queer rights case wins headlines. Pride Month. They march. Rainbow flags whipping. Hands locked in the throng. Yet, the unexpected lingers. August heat. Rooftop party, friends. Fireworks. David pulls James aside. I serious. Remember that proposal? Meant it. Box opens. Rings. Twin sapphires. Marry me. For real. Knees buckle. Yes, a whisper. Cheers erupt. But inside, James knows. Love's not endpoint, but horizon. Betrayal's echo? Forgiven. Transmuted. They plan elopement City Hall. Then road trip. Route 66 Redux. Human arc. Flawed. Fierce. Forward. September's crisp edge sliced through the humidity. Leaves turning the high line into a runway of rust and gold. James and David's engagement hummed like a secret melody. Whispers over morning runs along the Hudson. Ring fingers brushing in crowded subways. No fanfare. They craved intimate, the kind of commitment etched in shared glances rather than spectacle. David's bar results framed on the fridge. James's memoir contract inked. Shadows and skylines. A queer odyssey in concrete. Life, once a jagged puzzle, slotted with improbable grace. But grace has teeth. David's pro bono victory, overturning a discriminatory housing clause for a trans client, catapulted him to junior partner, but scrutiny followed. Firm whispers evolved to emails. Anonymous CCs questioning distractions. A partner's sidelong, personal life's bleeding into professional. David shrugged it off in sessions. Old boys club bullshit. But James saw the toll. Late nights scrolling precedents. Jaw clenched over scotch. James's book tour loomed. Readings in Boston, Chicago, LA, his first taste of vulnerability on stages. Sketches from their story-peppered pages. David's profile in repose. The fire escape confessional. Exposing us, he fretted one night, curled against David's chest. What if it backfires? David's fingers traced his spine. Then we face it. Together, kiss ceiling, but doubt's whisper persisted. October's chill brought the fracture. David's family, thawing orbit, invited them to Jersey for Columbus Day weekend. Neutral ground. Mom emailed. Recipes attached. James's stomach nodded. David's enthusiasm masked nerves. The drive. Classic rock on low. Hands intertwined at red lights. Colonial house unchanged. Porch swing creaking. Dad's grill smoking faint. Mom hugged stiff. Eyes appraising James's ink-splashed jeans. Welcome, dear. Dinner. Pot roast. Small talk skating surfaces. David's cases. James's art thing. Then Dad cleared throat. Heard about the win. Good for the community. Word mangled, but intent there. Progress. Post-meal. Backyard fire pit. Marshmallows toasting. Stars pricking black. Sister's kids chased fireflies. Laughter a bridge. David squeezed James's knee under the Adirondack. See, we're okay. But midnight call shattered it. David's phone buzzed. Firm crisis. Client meltdown. Go, James urged. Kiss lingering. David peeled out. Taillights fading. Alone in the guest room, quilted. Floral. James scrolled news. Headlines blaring David's case. But buried lead. Firm star attorney in personal scandal? Grainy photo. David and Chad at that mixer. Arms slung. Misinterpreted. Comments venom. Another liberal hypocrite. Gay agenda ruining law. Heart plummeted. He texted David, saw it. Call me. No reply. Dawn broke. Mom knocked. Coffee in hand. Rough night. Eyes knowing. Families. Complicated. David returned midday. Exhaustion carved deep. Misquote. Chad's just a bro. Divorce woes. He vented. But the firm's damage control email CC'd James. Maintain discretion. Betrayal anew. Not David's, but the world's. Institutional homophobia's cold claw. Drive home silent. Radio filling voids. Loft felt besieged. James paced. Words tumbling. They're punishing you. For us. David deflated onto the couch. It's politics. Ride's over. But it festered. Book tour launch. Union Square Barnes and Noble. Crowd buzzing. James read an excerpt. Their first kiss. Raw voice steady till applause cracked. David in front row. Pride beaming. But post-signing. A heckler. Glorifying deviance? Shame. Security ushered out. David lunged. James pulling back. Not worth it. Hotel that night, tour kickoff, David's anger boiled. I want to fight. Sue the bastards. James cupped his face. We pick battles. This one's theirs to lose. Tour whirlwind. Cities blurring. Fans sharing stories. Your words saved me. Validation soothed. But distance strained. Chicago reading. Ethan in audience. Supportive fan. Post-event drinks turned confessional. Missed my chance. Ha! James laughed. Boundary firm. Happily taken. But photo leaked. Ethan's arm casual. Tabloid fodder. Fiancé's ex at book bash? David called. Voice steel. Explain. It's nothing. Trust issues. James. Again. Fight via FaceTime. Accusations flying. Your insecurities. James's retort. Your paranoia. Call dropped. Silence gulf. Reunion at O'Hare. David waiting. Signs scrawled. Idiot plus idiot equals us. Hug crushing. Apologies whispered. Scared I'll lose you, David admitted. Me too. Vow renewed. Rings twisted. November elections loomed. National pulse fevered, rights debates raging. Queer visibility a flashpoint. David's firm navigated minefields. He testified at a hearing. Voice unflinching. Equality isn't optional. It's American. Clips viral. Support surging. But threats trickled. Announce. Watch your back. Fag. Security details joked. But James's anxiety spiked. Nightmares of pulse echoes. We're targets, he murmured. Sketching barbed wire hearts. David held firm. Then we armor up. Love's our shield. Thanksgiving redux. Loft feast. Expanded Gus. Ethan's crew. Even Brooke. Tentative olive branch. Heard the book's killer, she said. Clinking glasses. Proud of you both. Healing's mosaic. December's hush. Tree trimming. Ornaments from thrift halls. Lights twinkling defiance. Proposals echo. Elopement plans solidified. Vegas detour post-holidays. Then Southwest road trip. Our American dream, David quipped. Elvis Chapel kitsch. But climax crests New Year's. Times Square redux. But intimate rooftop with friends. Skyline fireworks. Midnight kiss. David's whisper. Forever starts now. January thaws personal ice. David's dad visits, solo. Diner meet. Struggled. But seeing him. Oh. Thanks for that. Handshake firm. Bridge spanned. James's book climbs charts. Speaking gigs flow colleges. Pride centers. One panel. Betrayal in love, self or other? He shares their arc. Voice steady. It's choosing daily. Human. Messy. Worth it. Spring burgeons. Vegas vows. Rings exchanged under neon. Laughter echoing slots. Road trip. Grand Canyon sunsets, Route 66 diners, motels with creaky beds and whispered futures. Kids, David muses, stars overhead. Surrogacy, maybe. Or just us, wild and free, back in NYC. Life layers, adoption seminars, art residencies, David's clerkship offer, Supreme Court whisper. Conflicts fade, not vanish, microaggressions, family tugs but resilience roots deep. Summer solstice, anniversary barbecue, rooftop kin. James toasts, to unexpected turns, may they always lead home. David's arm tightens. To us. Always. Yet, depth demands honesty. Love's not conquest, but companionship. Their story, open-ended, American as apple pie and protest marches. Flawed, fierce, enduring. Autumn's palette returned. Fiercer now, scarlet maples lining Central Park paths where James and David jogged, breaths sinking like heartbeats. 2 years wed. Their union a quiet revolution. Dual bylines on op-eds, queer justice in the age of backlash. David's clerkship a dream deferred but simmering. James's sophomore book in edits, weaving their road trip vignettes into tapestry. The loft expanded, spare room studio, walls papered in gallery stubs and Polaroids, canyon kisses, Vegas grins. But prosperity's shadow loomed. National tides shifted, midterms souring, anti-LGBTQ bills stacking like storm clouds. David's firm, once ally, hedged, neutral stance on endorsements. He pushed back, pro bono hours ballooning, sleep fractured. James noticed, the pill bottles multiplying, Ambien for nights, antacids for stress ulcers. You're burning, he said one dawn, coffee steaming between them. David waved it off. Smile practiced. Champions don't quit. James's panels intensified. Campus tours. Raw dialogues on betrayal's long tail. Q&A in Philly. How'd you survive the doubt? He paused. David's hand grounding under the table. By believing in the rebuild. Love's not absence of pain. It's presence through it. Back home. Fractures personal. David's sister announced pregnancy. Joy laced with exclusion. Family event. Just blood. Ouch, unspoken, but stinging. Mom mediated. Include them. Their family too. Tentative invites followed. Baby shower awkward. But James held David's niece. Tiny fist clutching his finger. Future glimpsed. Holiday season pressed. Hanukkah lights mingling Christmas strings. Their hybrid hearth. But Dad's health scare, bypass scare, pulled David to Jersey. James trailing support. Hospital vigil. Beeps monotonous. Mom's rosary clicking. Dad. Post-op groggy. You. Both. Stay safe out there. Words weighted. Absolution partial. New Year dawned reflective. David's 30 mark. Surprise party at the loft. Balloons bobbing. Gus grilling skewers on the fire escape. Toasts flowed. Brooks, to the man who chose heart over playbook. David pulled James on stage. Impromptu mic. This guy's my north. Turns out, straight-laced me needed a curveball. Laughter. But later, alone, proud, David asked. Vulnerable. Always. Kiss deep. Reaffirming. Spring's renewal carried barbs. James's book launch. Detours of desire, tour grueling. Cities chaining. Denver reading. Standing ovation. But post. A fan's advance. Inspired me to come out. Turned ugly when his partner stormed. Slurs flying. Security again. James shook, calling David. Need you. Flight cancelled. David drove through night, arriving dawn. Arms haven. No more solo, he vowed. Team. Summer heat wave tested. David's firm merger. Layoffs looming. His role pivotal. Ethics clash, defending a client with queerphobic ties. Billable necessity, he rationalized. But nights soured, arguments flaring. Compromise your soul? James challenged. It's strategy. Win from inside. Doubt crested July 4th. Fireworks over the East River. Friends picnic. David's phone buzzed, client crisis. He left mid-burger. Apology rushed. James stayed, but isolation bit, always second to the fight. Confrontation post-show. Loft dim. Arguments atomic. You're vanishing, James accused. Into work. Into wars, not us. David's retort. I'm building our life. Stability for kids. For kids? When? You're never here. Words wounded. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe straight me fits better. Venom spat. Regret instant. Silence entombed. James fled to the studio. Brushes slashing canvas. Reds bleeding black. David slept on couch. Chasm widening. Mediation. Doc's office. Tears unspooling. Core wounds, she named. David's abandonment fear. Family's conditional love. James's rejection echo. Tyler's ghost. Heal tandem. Rebuild incremental. Date nights enforced. No phones. Therapy homework. Letters unread aloud. David's. You woke me. Don't regret. James's. Your fire fuels mine. Stay lit. Fall equinox. Reconciliation hike. Appalachian Trail snippet. Leaves crunching. Hands linked. Summit view. Valleys carved deep. Like us, David said. Worn, but standing. Election night. Watch party tense. Results swinging. Losses stung, rights eroded, but their vote cast together. Defiant. Morning after, David at a rally. James sketching posters. Solidarity. Shared rage. Winter's grip. Holiday cards dual signed. Mom's visit. First sleepover. Grandbaby photos swapped. Dad's toast via Zoom. To family, however it grows. Climax subtle. Profound. Valentine's. David surprises. Private jet to Key West. Beach bonfire. Waves lapping. Sand circle. Renew. Rings refreshed. Vows voiced. Through betrayals. Turns. I choose you. James's yes. And I you. Humanly. Holy. Springs bloom. Adoption match. Foster teen. Alex. 16. Queer runaway. Home visits tentative. Board games. Art sessions. David's legal navigations. Family. Alex whispered. Hug fierce. Summer solstice. Third anniversary. Rooftop redux. Friends circle. Alex beaming. James toasts. To unexpected. Stays that become homes. David's arm anchors. To turns that turn us true. Years later. Alex thrives, college bound. Their kid in spirit. David's SCOTUS clerkship lands. James's TED Talk viral. Conflicts. Endemic bills pass. Threats lurk. But humanism anchors. Community suppers. Clinic volunteers. Love's quiet labor. Epilogue whisper. Graying temples. Canyon revisit. David's hand in James's. Worth every twist? Every one. Sunset Guilds. Story arcs gentle. American Odyssey. Gay heart beating resilient. In the end, not triumph or tragedy, but testament. Love, bent but unbroken, turns toward dawn.